Welcome to the Future of Less Work, where we explore how work is transforming one conversation at a time. I'm Nirit Cohen, and today we're turning our attention to what it really takes to reshape work at scale. In a world where everyone is talking about AI, what sets leaders apart is how they prepare their people. Because it's not just about the tools, it has to be about how those tools change jobs, teams, and even what we expect from talent and the work itself. When nearly every company claims to be transforming with AI, the real question is who's actually making it work? To dig into that, I'm joined today by Anant Adya, Executive Vice President and Head of Cloud Infrastructure and Security Services at Infosys. Anant is on the front lines of helping global organizations move beyond experimentation, integrating AI not just to automate tasks, but to build smarter, more adaptable businesses. And he's doing it in a way that keeps people, not just platforms, at the center of the transformation. Anant, welcome to the Future of Less Work.
Thank you, Nirit, and thank you for the opportunity.
So I'm really looking forward to this conversation because we're hearing that a lot of companies are experimenting, but not doing that well. And only a fraction are able to properly scale AI implementation successfully. So I'm curious, what's your perspective on what separates those that are moving past the pilot phase from those that stay stuck?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things that I wanted to sort of establish as a foundation, right? Number one, when Infosys we started talking about AI in general, right? AI or Gen AI or the Gen AI platform. We very early on decided that before we go and sort of preach all our enterprise clients on AI, we should become an AI first company all by ourselves, right? Because it's like saying eating
Yeah, so try it on yourself.
eating your own dog food kind of a thing, right? So we started looking at what are those components and what are those functions within Infosys that we need to start looking at from an AI first standpoint, right? I mean, whether it is experience of our employees or whether it's the systems and the processes that we use as employees, our training platform, the way we do work for our customers, including submitting proposals or submitting invoices or reconciliation of some of the billing stuff that we do and all of that, right? So very early on we decided that first let's look at our own systems, our own employees, and the impact that AI can make. So I think that's the first step for any enterprise.
So let me
Yeah.
ask you a question on that. Did you do that across the board or did you choose pilots?
Oh no, we started doing it across the board. When I say across the board, it started first with our own systems that we are using internally, whether it is travel, claims, billing, invoicing, and all of that. But the impact was basically across the board. It was not like pick up certain units or certain organizations and then start doing it. But we started looking at everything, right? So I think that was the most important thing, because once you do it to yourself, it's very easy to go and tell the clients how to do it for them, right? So I think that's the first thing that we started
Yes.
doing. Number two, as you know, Infosys is a very large company with almost 328,000 employees. And we wanted all of them to become AI aware, right? I think basically making sure that they understand the value of AI, they understand the impact of AI, they understand how to use AI in their day-to-day work. I think that's the second thing that we did. So we have today over 200,000 employees of Infosys who are actually AI aware and AI trained, as we say. So
So I'm
yeah.
almost okay. So I'm almost tempted to ask you. I was going to say how, but I think we know that people adopt the tools when they figure out what's in it for them, and they get the benefits. I think we're having a hard time figuring out how to implement them at a scale in a way that actually changes jobs, changes workflows, and reaches the bottom line, which is what we care about ultimately.
Well, absolutely, and that's a very good question, Nirit. In fact, we don't want everybody to be an expert, right? I think we divided our training into three broad categories, right? So one category was AI aware, So this is the category of people who have to know what AI is, what does AI do, and stuff like that, right? So I think that's one thing. The second category was AI builders, who are resources and employees who are building AI solutions and trying to see how they can use AI and take those AI solutions to the market, right, or to our customers. And the third category is AI masters, who are the ones who are sitting with our clients and telling them the roadmap and the strategy of why you should be adopting AI, where you should be adopting AI, what's the return on investment, the platforms, the technology, and the tools and stuff like that. So I think rather than saying that everybody has to be a master or everybody has to be a builder,
Yeah.
we actually divided them into three broad categories. I think that is another thing because it really helps, because not everybody can be an expert in everything, right? I think that was the second thing that we did with respect to the training.
Yeah, so I think that you're absolutely right. I'm asking you the questions because a lot of
Sure.
this conversation is surfacing these days in terms of how do you actually go about implementing these, and so part of it has to do with some people are just naturally more inclined to be early adopters and figure out how to teach themselves and then learn how to stay relevant, as opposed to us as organizations choosing them. What do you think it is the shift that people need to make to be able to do good work in this space?
Yeah, so I think the first step is to sort of understand that this is not about humans versus AI, right? I mean, this is humans plus AI. That's how we call it at Infosys, right? So because there is a lot of myth around if you bring AI, then it will lead to loss of jobs, and we'll basically start recruiting less and all of that, right? In fact, we don't believe that that's the case, and essentially humans plus AI is our sort of proposition or our go to market narrative that we are using. So I think just building on that, there are four use cases, right, that we broadly see in the AI space. So the number one is generation. So how can you generate content? How can you generate code? How can you generate images and PowerPoints and stuff like that, right? So documents, and so that's one use case. The second use case is all summarization. So for example, we get tons of documents and service agreements and legal documents, teaming agreements that we need to sort of review and summarize and take actions, whether it is SOWs or large requirements documents and stuff like that. So I think how can we use summarization as the second use case, right? So that's the second use case. The third one is all about experience. How can we drive better experience for, say, call center, contact center agents, or someone who is in HR or finance or supply chain or sitting at the factory in the warehouse and stuff like that, right? So that's the third use case. And the fourth one, which is a big one for someone like us, is operations. How can we bring AI into operations to sort of look at how humans plus AI can basically work together to drive efficiency and much better outcomes in that. So one of the things that we are educating customers is, as you embark on the journey of AI, and of course there is a lot more on business outcomes and business impact. So when we educate our customers, we say that first let's decide and define the AI strategy for your organization. Why are you doing what you're doing? Because if your intent of AI is cost savings, then you are heading in the wrong direction, right? I mean, it is not about saving costs; it is about doing more with what you have, right? So I think once you define that AI strategy, and then you define what's the ROI, then we can start working on bringing technologies and tools and platforms and solutions. Uh,
So let me ask you just for an example
sure.
here, because you in the report, leading in an AI world, you actually talk about this clear shift from treating AI as a tech layer to integrating it into the operating fabric of the business. And I'm wondering, because I like those kind of four categories that you've laid out here. What does that look like in practice? Can you show me where does it move from just being a technology we query or we use to summarize to something that changes the essence of what we do?
Yeah. So I mean, if I just take the example of operations, right? I think that's a big, and I'll talk about experience as a second use case. So if you look at operations today, majority of the organizations are dependent on skilled humans and skilled labor to do that work, right? And essentially, uh, if you look at turnover, or if you look at training and reskilling and all the things that are happening in that space, the dependency on humans has increased many folds. However, the process and the systems have remained the same. So supply chain is a supply chain, order to cash is order to cash, procure to pay is procure to pay. But however, the humans have made it very complex. So essentially, what we are doing is we are trying to sort of see how we can bring AI to sort of understand the entire journey and build those agents who can slowly start doing some of the work in the operation space. So for example, and giving a very simple example of IT operations in the cloud world, right? So once upon a time, we had to basically have skilled resources who will basically build these instances in the cloud and build these applications in the cloud. And it used to take, obviously it came down from weeks to days, but it still required humans. Now what we have done is we have built agents who will actually go and do that work with zero intervention from humans, other than approvals and other than some access approvals that are required. So that's one example, right? Which actually has.
So let's stay
Yeah,
with that for a second,
sure.
just one moment, because we these are the kinds of things, and I'm not saying that they're wrong or they shouldn't be exactly the kinds of things, but that's the conversation that's generating the people versus AI, right? Because it basically, we come in and we say let's clean the process and put agents instead of people. And so the question is, what's the follow on that makes that different, that removes the fear and actually makes it people with AI?
Yeah, so I think essentially what it does is, from our perspective, right? This is one of the repeatable, mundane activity that is something that does not require humans, to be very honest. And this has been there not even before AI, right? I mean, we used to automate a lot of stuff where humans don't get involved. So essentially, what we are trying to do is, if we take out all these mundane activities and repeatable activities from what humans are doing, they can focus on more complex work like containers and Kubernetes and building those world class applications that are required to be hosted in the cloud. So I think that is essentially what we are trying to do. So it doesn't really take out the humans. I mean, it takes out the human for this specific activity, but we can use that expertise for something else, and that is
So do you
essentially.
see that as new roles, or do you see that as changes of skills for existing roles?
In fact, it is a new role itself, right? In the sense, if you define what's a day in the life of a cloud admin looks like today, it is less of doing these repeatable mundane activities and more of transforming the IT landscape and doing more cloud native work and stuff like that, right? Building better applications, composable applications, and those kind of things. So, and even the humans, I mean, even the humans and the admins like it, right? I mean, like. Rather than sitting and doing this repeatable activity day in and day out, if they are given something more interesting, and again, even there they use the power of AI, by the way. It's not that they are doing it all by themselves, like code generation, right? I mean, you require a lot of code to be generated for building those applications, and you can use the power of AI like GitHub Copilot or M365 Copilot and stuff like that. So I think essentially what we are trying to say is that when you look at the customer journey today for any of this business process, HR, hire to retire, or finance, when you actually look at the book closure activities, there are a lot of these small tasks in between which can be automated, which can leverage the power of AI and agents to get done, right? I think that's essentially what we're saying. I'll give another example, right? I mean, for example, we actually have clients who have large call center, contact center agents who are talking to clients day in and day out. So there is one such healthcare customer of ours, where we implemented AI-based solution for summarization. So there are these agents who are talking to patients on a daily basis to understand their claim and their issue, and they are actually going back and forth, understanding whether the claim should be processed or it should not be processed, and the entire conversation happens over a period of 1 to 2 hours, and the agent has to go and document all the discussions that have happened in a document, summarize that document and send it to his or her supervisor to sort of get a decision. And the supervisor will again go back and ask some more questions, and the agent has to go back and refer to the notes and respond back. So all of this used to take weeks before the patient finally gets a decision that his or her claim is approved or not approved, right? And this activity has completely been automated using AI, using the summarization use case. And now the agent can get back to the patient in less than 4 hours, right? So the impact on patient experience and the number of calls that the agent can take on a daily basis has been sort of, positively impacted in a significant way, thereby sort of, not replacing the agent, but basically making the agent to take more calls because of this particular tool. So that's
Yeah,
essentially what.
and I could totally see how when you start automating this,
Yes.
even understanding what the calls are about and maybe some of the, recommendation and decision making. And I'm wondering what that does to the kinds of, to the workforce, to the people that need to be doing that job, to what you'll be asking of them. I did notice that was really interesting in your report that leaders seem to be feeling confident about what AI can do for the business, but they don't really believe their workforce is ready to work with it.
Oh yeah, that is. I think there is a change. There is a lot of change management as well, because I think the moment we start talking about AI, the general perception is that it is going to replace my job, right? And that is a big worry that everybody has, and that is why talking about the impact of AI on not just the customer but also on ourselves, right, is important. So two things with respect to the change itself, right? I think if you look at many of our customers today, there is always this concern around like what's the tool, what's the technology, what's the hyperscaler. I think most of us are wired because we are all engineers, we are wired to think that a technology can solve all the problems, right? But there is an aspect of change that we forget, and that change has to be brought into the conversation, and we need to basically equip our engineers and resources, and even our clients to sort of think in a different way. There are certain customers who are very progressive that way, and they have been making a lot of impact with respect to AI and the way things are being done, especially the call center, contact center, and the telco customer base, the retail customer base, the hospitality space has been sort of completely disrupted with the use of AI. And all of that has happened because there has been an element of change management also that has been brought in. So I agree with you. I think it's slow, but it is actually picking up. And if you look at our report as well,
Yeah.
one of the things that we also said that while everybody understands that there is an increase of productivity and there is a lot of gains that they can get, but only 2% of the organizations are ready in terms of whether it is about talent or strategy or governance, data and technology, right? I mean, these are the 5 dimensions that we talk about. But I think there is a gap, and I think each of this has to be dealt with separately to sort of bring that impact.
Yep. So I'm actually wondering when you look across the implementations you've done, and is there something that stands out to you that you say, "Wow, this was a really good one because the change management element was treated maybe better or in a different way?"
No, so I would say I think the best use. I mean, there are many actually, but one of the best use cases where we have been able to see a direct impact on our customers, right? I mean, is this healthcare company. I think they measure them, the call center, contact center, with something called a net promoter score. And once upon a time, when we will measure the call center, contact center, it always used to be about average handle time, or first contact resolution, or what's the customer satisfaction based on a rating that you get at the end of the call and stuff like that. But now it is completely changed. It's all about patient experience, right? As to how do we drive better patient experience in terms of getting them the approval that they want. And this particular healthcare customer that I'm talking about deals with Medicare and Medicare, which is dealing with the poorest of the poor, right? So I think the impact, both in terms of the patient experience and the impact on the community itself, is significantly higher. And I think the agents realize that, right? And they really, when you sit with them and explain why you're doing what you're doing, and the impact that you as an individual is going to make on this particular category of clients that you are dealing with, I think immediately, I think they basically pick this up, right? Wherever the conversation is about cost savings, I think that is where the pushback comes, right? I think uh, we are 500 people today, and by implementing this, we can take 200 people out. I think that's where there is a challenge that comes in. But otherwise, when there is a discussion on impact and value, I think it's all. So I would say that's one of the best case study that I can talk about.
And that's really interesting. I was going to ask you, how do we build trust in AI systems? And you've just explained, the difference about what the focus is about, right? Are you implementing AI just to do the productivity, or are you implementing AI so that you can do something you couldn't do before and it's a valuable something,
Right,
right?
right. Absolutely. I think, in fact, the one more thing that obviously we actually also very very deliberately push is do it responsibly, right? I think responsible AI also is very critical, because there is still a lot of hallucination that is happening, and there are some security and privacy issues and confidentiality issues, specifically when we are dealing with business users, where we are actually impacting the users of our customers, or customers as we call them. We want to make sure that we do it within the gambit of responsible AI. And I think that's another aspect of it. But I think overall, if you look at the business impact, the value that the AI use case is driving, and once we do it responsibly, I think it's actually it's pretty much like a slam dunk.
So I'm really curious, what's your vision? So if you roll us forward some, and I don't know what that sum is anymore. We used to say a number of years, but it gets really difficult, right? But you think, okay, we've taken this a step further. What would you what would you love that would happen, that we would say we did this right, and it's a good thing that that AI has changed what's possible for us?
Yeah, so I think our vision, right, is when we talk to enterprise clients today, I think uh, pretty much all of them come and say that we do not care about technology or the platform or the tool that you're bringing to make this happen, but we just want to focus on outcomes, right? So more and more we have conversation with clients in manufacturing, financial services, healthcare, life sciences. uh, they are saying that here is what's our problem, here is our use case, uh, come and solve it and talk about what's the business outcome that you're going to deliver. So I would say that the more we do on business outcomes is where the satisfaction is, because I think tools and technologies and cloud providers and software, all of this is going to become table stakes. uh, Customers are going to say talk about outcomes. So our vision is focus on outcomes, and everything else is sort of it will be part and parcel of what we are going to deliver for the customers. So I think that's our.
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
service of that.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, great. So as we wrap up, what's the one question you think every leader should be asking these days about the future of work?
So I think it's obviously getting disrupted big time, right? I think, for example, if you go to a uh, college, high school kid today, or a undergrad who is just coming out of college, and tell them to build a website, they would pretty much build it in, like, few hours or few days, right? Compared to what the complex enterprises take, right? I mean, because there is requirements gathering, then there is back and forth that happens, and then you basically build a prototype, and then again go back and forth on these things. But I think less complexity is also something we have to start thinking in those lines, because a lot of technical people and engineers and enterprises who understand the business tend to make it very complex. So I think one question that keeps coming is, how can we make things more simple, and don't complicate things. So I think that is one thing that we have to work on, because uh, people tend to make everything complex. In fact, I was recently in one of the executive summits of a partner, and the CEO said the same thing to all the customers who were sitting in the audience, that some of these things are very simple to implement, and you are the ones who make it very complex. So a lot of leaders have now started taking that progressive approach, where they don't they say that, okay, this is what has to be done, let's figure out a way to get this done, and don't come and tell me there is a security issue, there is a privacy issue, there is a confidentiality issue, or our systems are complex, we are different. Keep all of that aside. We have to obviously work on that, but let's see how we can get this done. So I think I would say, from my perspective, keep it simple and get it done. I think that would be the message from a leadership standpoint.
And, that's fabulous, and I have my human resources hat on. I'm thinking, it's a big culture shift
Yes,
for some
yes,
organizations, right? I mean, that is why we're seeing bigger challenges in larger enterprises versus startups.
that's true.
It's that's probably easier said than done, but that's a really good way to see it. Thank you so much, Anant, for joining me today. For more on Anant Adya and the Infosys report, Leading in the AI World, check out the links in the show notes. And if you've enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to follow The Future of Less Work. Someone navigating the same questions probably needs to hear this. And please remember, your best people do not work because they have to, or because you tell them to, or because you measure them on it. They work because they want to. Because by working for you, they're also accomplishing what's important to them in life. Thank you for listening.